All right. So we're just going straight live here. We're not doing like stance and everything, man. Uh so we just got finished watching Black Widow
Mm-hmm.
and yeah, I think this is the first time since the movie came out that I actually went and watched it again.
Yeah, same here.
Yeah. Um
Because it was a COVID movie.
right. I watched it twice in theaters. So I mean like I wasn't it's not like it was like, oh yeah, this is a terrible movie and I watched it twice and it wasn't like I didn't dislike this movie at all. Like the there's emotional weight. There's a couple of like issues with the movie itself,
I
right?
mean, the 6-foot parachute drop landing just fine. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, you're at terminal velocity and you go 6 feet, but I mean, that's suspend disbelief stuff, right? Like there's
Right.
always going to be levels of suspending disbelief and just like, okay, well, it's a comic book movie, so they're not really going to go into things like the issues that I have are more around I mean obviously Taskmaster. You guys saw me complaining about it the entire time.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
know, I
Mhm.
Tony Masters is a major character for me. So it's just kind of like when Marvel's like, okay, we're gonna change the character, that's fine, but at least like do what you did with Tony Stark.
Yes.
Right, where like
Yeah.
you guys made changes to Tony Stark, but they made sense to update the character, right?
Hmm.
I don't mind if you're gonna gender bend Tony Masters. You're gonna make it Antonia Masters or whatever, right?
But
I don't
they did
mind.
it. They just Antonia Dreykov.
Right. It's Antonia Dreykov. She does not have the actual skills that Tony Masters has. And I kind of get it. At the time they still didn't have they still didn't have the rights to mutants.
Hmm.
And technically that's a mutant ability that he has.
Yes, and originally it wasn't right.
I
It's
think
just I
yeah,
think he was just able to pick up in any fighting style.
right. And eventually what they ended up doing was making it a mutant ability where he can mimic anybody's movements.
Hmm.
And the reason they retconned it and made it a mutant ability is because he can pick up on every minute detail of it, to the point where he can mimic the exact movements that Captain America can,
Correct. Yeah.
so and you kind of see what they were going for in this, like, oh, let's put a chip in the back of her neck and she can just like she has a supercomputer in her head that can make her analyze all these fighting styles and all this other stuff, like, but also you don't get the asshole quippiness of it's the equivalent of what they did to Deadpool in the Wolverine movie.
Yeah. Yeah.
When you sew Deadpool's mouth shut.
Yeah. Yeah. It's they essentially they needled her. He's like, I want to learn kung fu. Boop, USB drive,
Yeah, yeah, and again, like,
which is absurd.
yeah, my big issue with Tony like I said, Tony Masters is kind of like he's quippy like Spider-Man.
Hmm.
And it's kind of like, he has like all these asshole moves. He's like Spider-Man if Spider-Man was a jerk. It's Tony Masters.
So Daredevil.
Even Daredevil's like, Daredevil's he's more broody than he is like a jerk. No.
He's snarky.
He's very snarky.
Yeah. So this movie, like I said, obviously it came out after Phase 3,
Right.
and yes, it was a long time coming. Did I think we needed it? I think we did. I think we need to learn, where the mac and cheese scene was coming in Hawkeye. We needed to learn where the vest really came from that she had. And
I love all that, but no, I mean, my main issue with this movie is that it came out too late.
Mhm.
They really should have released this movie a lot sooner when we were asking for a Black Widow movie,
Yeah.
rather than trying to tell a story that happened that was like post Endgame, right?
Mhm.
Because in the timeline, it takes place between Civil War and
Infinity War. Yeah.
Infinity War. you know, and it's kind of like, okay, that's cool. This would have been better if it came out after Civil War.
I
You know,
agree.
I mean, the things that we get out of it. I mean, you know, do we get to see Black Widow's history? Do they explain what happened in Budapest? I mean, like they do these things, right? Where again, we finally get this explanation for the Budapest joke that's been going along since Avengers 1.
But we still never saw it.
Never saw it, but they finally explained what happened. You know, the
Yeah.
red in the ledger is that she killed Antonia, even though she didn't really kill Antonia, but she thought she killed Antonia. And that's where she feels like she messed up, right? So it's kind of like you get that explanation in the story. It was a way for them to introduce a crap ton of characters, though.
Yes.
You know, you know, not just Dreykov, like not the really bad version of Taskmaster, but we do get Red Guardian, right? And you get that that Russian version of Captain America, which and they have references to multiple characters. I forgot what the Russian Avengers team was. I think it was North Star. Yeah. So like, you know, they mentioned that they introduced a crap ton of North Star characters, like Ursa Majors, the dude he breaks Alexei breaks his arm at the very beginning.
Yeah.
When they're arm wrestling, he's like the really big dude.
That's he did not turn into a bear, though.
He didn't turn into a bear, right? He didn't turn into a bear, but Ursa Major is usually a bear. Again, obviously they couldn't do Omega Red because Omega Red was still owned by Fox at the time.
All they had to do was show a cryovac in the Red Room that just had the Red Omega symbol. And then it being jettisoned out to who knows where.
But again, at the time, Fox hadn't sold the rights to all the characters over yet. So they did. I mean, Omega Red was technically in Deadpool 2.
I know.
And the guy who the guy, I mean, you know, he's got the collar on, so they've like got him subdued. But the guy who they chose to play Omega Red was dead on. The dude looks just like Omega Red.
Yeah. This, like I said, this movie is interesting. I kind of want to get into kind of the characters and our predictions, and we'll open up to chat. And I also want to give the rest of our team too, because we're doing this to prep for Thunderbolts. Now, the question was this the first time we saw Val?
I think this is the first time we see Valentina, isn't it? Yeah. So this is the first time we see Valentina. Not only that, I mean, Valentina, and she's Madam Hydra. This is also post Hydra dissolution. The Hydra's been dissolved at this point. So
in theory,
yeah. So that's what I'm saying. We're probably never going to get her fully as Madam Hydra. Like they'll probably never refer to her as Madam Hydra unless they talk about her currently being in the government, but being a former Hydra agent.
What they could do in Secret Wars or Doomsday, if we get the rumored Captain Hydra, she could be there as Madam Hydra.
It's true, and we'll actually see her in costume as Madam Hydra. That would make sense. Yeah,
because we'd have to have her, and then she has to exchange wits with Nick Fury. She has to.
Yeah,
and Battle World is the perfect place to do it.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. Especially if we're going to be getting Captain Hydra the way that the rumors have been going.
And maybe Bob. Officially Bob.
I mean, Bob
Hydra Bob.
That's what I was going to say. I was going to say Bob exists in the universe.
But not with Deadpool.
No, but I'm saying he was in the first Deadpool movie.
But he wasn't Hydra Bob.
Yeah, he was just a mercenary, but like, he because he just refers to him as Bob.
Right. So we can get Hydra Bob and have a Wade moment with Hydra Bob.
Actually have him. Oh my God, dude. If they actually have like Hydra agents and we see Hydra Bob, that'd be great.
Yeah.
It's not just Tyler wearing a costume anymore.
All right. So Phil, let's go over the predictions of the people that we were introduced to in this movie and who are appearing in Thunderbolts and whether we think they will live or die. We'll start off obviously. Yelena, do you think she'll live or die?
Yelena is she's gonna live. She still has a lot more stories to tell.
Mm-hmm.
And she that would really piss people off if they killed off Yelena Belova in this movie. So I think Yelena survives.
I agree. I think she's going to continue on, for sure. Now, Red Guardian.
Red Guardian also survives. I think that one again. I think eventually we get some type of North Star thing. They've teased North Star so far in this movie, and I mean we may get it like a North Star in the 80s, and you know they go back to that whole thing about him saying that he fought Captain America,
which would be Isaiah Bradley at this point,
right? And that's why I'm saying like I want to see him fighting a young Isaiah Bradley. That'd be dope.
Or will he fight Captain Hydra?
It could be that,
because we're not going to. That's the only way we're going to get a Chris Evans Red Guardian fight is if it's Captain Hydra,
right? Because that's definitely a fight that I want to see is the two of them.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I mean, given the way that the MCU's timeline works, unless there's been a rumored version of it where they want Chris Evans to come back and do a movie where he goes back in time and puts all the stones back.
Mm-hmm.
So theoretically, that could be the way that he fights Red Guardian. He's going back in time to put a stone back, and he encounters Red Guardian in like I think Red Guardian says 1983 is when he encountered Captain America.
It's still at that point in time, Captain America is still 80 to 90 years old in the 80s.
Yeah.
So,
well, but I mean, if he's traveling around time, then you know you can kind of play with that a little bit more.
All right, I think I'm kind of on the fence whether Red Guardian will live or die. I think they will. Honestly, I think they'll kill him, but he'll come back for a secret or battle.
For okay,
yeah,
I can see that. I mean, technically, you could argue that he's a variant of Captain America, so it's like.
Yeah, it's essentially, I mean,
he would be a Red Sun variant. So,
right. I mean, we're still going to have, you could almost do another mantle for Captain America. You could have all of them there.
Yeah.
At one point in time.
Or a really good joke would be you have all the different versions of Captain America, and then Red Guardian walks in and he's like, what? I'm supposed to.
Exactly. I mean, they could do a passing of the shield and just an extended toss as they toss it to each other.
Yeah.
All right. Taskmaster
dies.
Oh, for sure.
The rumor right now, and I'll wait for the other one. There's two characters that are supposed to die as soon as Sentry goes void.
Yeah.
So there is a rumor that Taskmaster is one of the characters that dies. I don't mind them killing off Antonia. What my hope is in the time from Black Widow to when we get to this movie, that the Taskmaster protocol wasn't just Antonia, that it was a program, but everything was based on Tony Masters. The other thing is that what I would want is I want Tony Masters, like the original Taskmaster, to be again U.S. Special Forces. I want him to be kind of like I want them to go and do that character justice the way that he should be. Especially now that you have Deadpool in the universe, like you need that interaction between Deadpool and Taskmaster, Tony Masters Taskmaster, and I would love to see that in maybe Doomsday. Right now, the other thing is if Taskmaster is not this just brooding, quiet, almost dumb feeling character like she was in this movie, and they make her quippy and funny and kind of jokey, and it's like, okay, I might be upset. Like if you make her more relatable and more likable, because her character was not likable at all
No.
in this movie.
No.
It's kind of like what was his name? In Suicide Squad, the rope guy that gets killed, like in like the scene he shows up in.
Oh,
Yeah, like
yeah.
you don't care about that guy whatsoever, and he just dies immediately.
Yeah.
It's kind of like in the animated Taskmaster or animated um Suicide Squad movie where they killed off KG Beast like right at the beginning. You know, same kind of deal, right? Like I don't care enough about the Antonia variant of Taskmaster
Mhm.
unless at the very beginning you get this whole thing where, you know, her personality, once they like freed her, her personality became a kind of snarky, quippy asshole, right? And it's like, oh, okay, and you know what? I kind of like this character. I want no. What I want them to do, Jackie walked in and said, "Did you call me?" What I want is, in order to make this a kill that's not just we're killing it for the fans, we're killing her off for the fans. I would prefer her to be something more of a let's build this character through the beginning of the movie where now you're like, oh my god, I don't want her to die. She's actually really fun and a good character. And then they kill her off, and it's a much more emotional standing when she dies.
Right. Yeah, I agree. I think they will just though, unfortunately, say, "Hey, look,
Yeah.
the Dark Avengers can die, therefore Taskmaster dies."
Yeah.
It's entirely possible that we could have in the secret world get introduced to the real Taskmaster.
And that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
It's like I feel like, that's the other thing is that in Doomsday, given that they're doing variants and everything like that, we could get a proper Taskmaster that's working for Doctor Doom, which that's something the Taskmaster would do.
Oh, hands down. Yeah.
Yeah. I think a lot of times in the comics, if Taskmaster's not doing things on his own, he's
Mhm.
usually either working for Doctor Doom or Norman Osborn. So I mean, like, it makes sense to like have him be someone under Victor Von Doom.
Yeah. Absolutely. Now, since we didn't do an after show from Ant-Man and the Wasp, we'll mention her now. Ghost.
Ghost.
Lives or dies.
Ghost dies. That was the second character that supposedly dies as soon as Sentry goes void. Now Ghost, I think, is a more well-rounded character by comparison to Taskmaster. But I also feel like she didn't put enough kind of like staying power in the universe for people to even care that Ghost is in the movie.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, secondary villain, not even a villain, quite honestly, in Ant-Man and the Wasp.
Yeah.
I agree that she's going to die as well. So
yeah,
right now we both say Yelena will live. I'm kind of saying Red Guardian's going to die because that is going to break Yelena. He's going to be the heart of that team.
Yeah.
And usually the heart of the team, especially in a movie like this, probably dies.
Yeah, if Red Guardian goes, man. But that's what I'm saying is I would prefer that Taskmaster ends up becoming like the heart of the team. And then now it's more of an emotional blow that Taskmaster gets killed.
They're just gonna do it to just appease us, unfortunately.
I know they're gonna kill. If anything, especially with the rumors going around, if they kill Ghost and Taskmaster, those are the two characters that nobody wants around, anyways.
Yeah.
Obviously Bucky's not gonna die. If you kill off Bucky, we're all gonna fucking go. We're gonna riot.
I mean, really, what's left on our predictions for living and dying is Johnny Mayonnaise, Bucky Barnes.
Johnny Mayonnaise is another one they said that's supposed to die.
Well, we'll see. We'll discuss that a little bit more when we do the Winter Soldier
episode. Yeah. I'm not as okay with U.S. Agent dying because I think U.S. Agent again is another character that has more story to tell. Yeah, and I think he's gonna actually end up being the emotional character that we attach ourselves to. Supposedly, he comes into this. He's calmed down. He has a family. He just had a child, and they brought him into this whole thing. And supposedly, he dies. That if you build up that type of like emotional thing with him, then that's kind of like the sacrifice character.
which we thought was going to be Hawkeye in Avengers 2.
That's true. That is true. We thought in every Avengers movie except for Endgame, everybody thought he was going to die,
Yeah.
right? And the only reason we didn't think he was going to die in Endgame was because when he went Ronin, we're like, nope, he's whooping everybody's ass.
Oh yeah.
You kind of knew it as soon as you saw on the trailer that he's standing there with the samurai swords, like he's Ronin.
Oh yeah.
Ronin's so badass.
They never say that he's Ronin at all, which is
Yeah.
a shame too.
Yeah.
So between with Ant-Man and the Wasp and now Black Widow, do you have any predictions for any cameos from these two movies that might show up? Do you think we're ever going to see the Black Widows that they freed again?
I don't think we will. Because I don't think there's a reason to. I mean, spoilers for Captain America, Brave New World, right? Technically, right?
Yeah.
One of the characters, technically a former Black Widow shows up in that.
Correct. I can see them because you could argue that they were at, Endgame in the final battle. We don't know.
Right.
Because they were already freed. We don't know.
Right. And maybe they all died in that battle.
Now, could they be there in Doomsday? Could they be there in Secret Wars?
I mean, they could. The thing is, like I said, I think it makes more sense to have them show up the way they did in Captain America, where they are security agents or characters that are like assassins and stuff that like work for foreign dignitaries. They're just not tied down to Russia anymore.
Now, do you think that Yelena was able to free all the hundreds, or do you think she's doing that in Thunderbolt still?
Well, I think she's running through that task from that movie, from Black Widow all the way up until now. I mean, I feel like during Hawkeye, she was probably still in the process of doing all that.
So that's the only reason why I could think that they would show up. At least one would show up in Thunderbolts, because she's still doing that task.
Yeah,
or they're still agents that are still being controlled by someone, Omega Red, that she still has to stop.
Now that we have Omega Red, oh man, or like now that we can officially do Omega Red, that would be cool. Because Omega Red is such a dope character, man. Like, you see Tentacle Porn Daddy himself walk up on screen, and he's got a bunch of Black Widows around him.
Yeah, like I said, that's my theory. I think we're gonna have one Black Widow that she is still capturing and tracking down, because she's still there's hundreds across the world. There's no way she's gonna be able to get to all of them.
And they were sleeper agents too, so yeah,
she has the data. I think it's gonna take a little bit more time than the 5 years in the MCU to do all that.
I think the reintroduction of the character. So like when in the every movie they always do a reintroduction, especially like ensemble movies like this with characters that come from different movies. I think the reintroduction of Yelena is going to be her tracking down another Black Widow. I also feel like that's how Taskmaster gets involved too.
Yes, I think they're working together. So
no, I don't know if Yelena's working with Taskmaster, but or you're saying the other Black Widow. Yeah.
So I just kind of think that's where we'll be at with that. Do you think we'll see Yelena at all? Do you think we'll see Rachel Weisz's character in Thunderbolts at all?
I don't think so. I honestly don't think her character is going to show up again.
Do you think she's one and done?
I think she's one and done. It would be nice to see her show up again, but I think it's mainly because it's kind of the nature of the way that they're treating Black Widows in the universe. I really don't think there's a reason for her to come back.
Okay. Yeah. Now, will we with Ghost coming back? Will we see Goliath?
That's the first thing that popped in my head earlier was because when you said she wasn't really the villain, I was like, yeah, because Goliath was the villain in that movie.
Right. With the reintroduction of it.
I it would be nice again. I if anything, it's going to be a cameo.
Mm-hmm.
I still don't think that we're going to get a full on Goliath and see him like growing up, meaning like grow. I would like to see Goliath in the armor, but I doubt we're going to get that. If anything, if we see Lawrence Fishburne again, it's more so kind of like in that mentor capacity.
Unless we have an 80s Avengers in Secret Wars.
That's more likely where I feel like we'll see Goliath is because that 80s Avengers would have been Ant-Man, Goliath. I guess technically you could
Wasp.
do Reed Richards, Wasp.
Yeah.
You could do Reed Richards.
I mean, technically Thor.
No, the reason that they wouldn't do Thor though is because unless they do
Balder.
Oh, they could do Balder. Yeah, they could do Balder or the original comic book version of Thor, which was I forget his name, the character, but remember
Donald Blake.
Donald Blake. Unless they do Donald Blake, because then you're not tying Hemsworth's Thor into it.
Mm-hmm.
Because remember, Hemsworth's Thor had never been to our realm,
right?
When it came to the first movie. But if you do Donald Blake and you have a story about Thor losing his hammer, right?
Yeah.
And that leads to why Thor's so upset that he loses the hammer in that movie, in the first movie, right?
Mm-hmm.
Is because he's lost it before, but this time it was because his dad said you can't have it anymore, right? This one is just more like I lost my hammer and I can't tell anybody about it, but Donald Blake finds the hammer and becomes an Avenger.
Yeah. Will we see Walter Goggins?
Who did Walter Goggins play?
He played the guy who had lots of money. He was just trying to take the building away from.
Right, that's right.
Could he be in the same building as Val?
With all of the hype that Walt Goggins is getting right now, I wouldn't put it past Marvel to do that. Right? It's like, oh yeah, we have Walter Goggins before Walter Goggins was like, this massive, star that he is right now. Like we had him when he was just, kind of like some dude.
Yeah.
He's a good actor. I mean, he was a good actor back then and he was doing good stuff, but like now he's getting all these like roles that are like, like star power roles, right?
Yeah.
So like, it would be nice to be like, oh yeah, well, Walter Goggins already played a character. Let's just bring that character back.
Yeah. And the last question I have is, where do you think they'll appear? Do you think we'll get the security team that Ant-Man was working with? Will we get the Baba Yaga in the reintroduction of Ghost to us? Especially with his star power he has now.
With all of them, everybody on that team has star power at this point. All I want is Luis, man. Like we've all been complaining about how Luis should have been the one that explained Endgame.
Yep.
Right, and we never got that. And honestly, we haven't gotten Luis since the second movie.
Correct.
I think part of that is also because he went like super crazy on Scientology. But I mean, like, still, I kind of want to see that character come back.
So kind of like which character you want? Which any of these from these two movies do you think will make the most definite appearance then as a cameo in Thunderbolts?
Goliath makes sense just because without Goliath, there's really no reason to see Ghost.
Yeah.
Just kind of going through the different characters. That might be the only one that really comes to mind because like everybody else is either dead or the characters are irrelevant. right? Not that the actors are irrelevant, because the actors are all great, but it's just kind of like there's not really a reason to bring a lot of those characters back in.
Right. I can see that. And I want to talk about, last Thunderbolt predictions before we get, after you all the rewatches and have an entire crew on here. But, if they created Sentry, I just want to get this nugget into your head. Whose blood are they trying to recreate? Are they trying to do the Weapon X program, trying to recreate Captain America? And where they've gotten the blood from? Could we gotten the blood of the idea of it from Red Guardian?
It is always trying to recreate Steve Rogers.
Right.
Every program within the Marvel universe that like whenever it's a mutate program, unless it's fucking Nathaniel Essex, right? Which he's a different monster on his own, literally. Unless it's something that Nathaniel Essex did, everybody trying to create superheroes is always trying to recreate the super soldier serum.
Ooh. Could Essex create Bob?
Hydra Bob?
Sentry.
Oh, yeah. Supposedly they're saying Mr. Sinister is supposed to be the first villain for the X-Men.
And what better way to say he has genetic lab work to create Sentry?
Well, that's the nugget. That's the thing is, remember, the Deadpool movies are canon, which means that the Essex house exists.
Yep.
Right? So we know that Nathaniel Essex is running around in this universe somewhere. Right? That would be a cool kind of like Easter egg for like, because that's something where that's an arbitrary name for all the casuals, like everybody that's not in the know is going to be like, oh, Nathaniel Essex, whatever, and it'll be like a cool reveal down the line when, oh yeah, the guy who created Sentry is, also this genetic experiment guy that, basically starts experimenting on himself, make himself stronger. Just the mutate generator himself. That would be a really cool Easter egg, and of course, the rest of us are like, Nathaniel, it's Mr. Sinister, it's Mr. Sinister,
Yeah, because we got Essex was also the end of Phoenix again, or was that the other one, the one before Phoenix, like Apocalypse? He was taking blood. We saw Weapon X in his Weapon X helmet and everything. That was Essex Corporation that was taking the blood samples.
Yeah.
It's not canon, but I really think that with Sentry, Essex is the perfect person to bring in to lay that Easter egg of Essex being there, because if he's a mutant, he has to be there for 100 and some odd years before the rest of the mutants exist.
And that's the other thing is like, we'll probably talk about this on Rumors on Tuesday, but supposedly Oscar Isaac is supposed to be playing 3 characters in Secret Wars. Yeah, so
I know 2 of them.
He's supposed to be coming back as Moon Knight.
Yeah.
He's supposed to be coming back as Apocalypse. And then there was another character. And then he's supposed to be playing a live action Miguel O'Hara.
Really?
Yeah. Which makes sense because he plays Miguel O'Hara in the animated universe. So what better person to have come and play Miguel O'Hara live action than Oscar Isaac?
I can see that.
Yeah. So supposedly he's supposed to be coming back as Spider-Man 2099. He's supposed to be replaying Apocalypse, and the version of Apocalypse they're saying that he's supposed to be is like full on Kree enhanced Apocalypse.
So you're saying we're gonna get some Kree, and then we're gonna get some bird people.
we might get some Shi'ar, right? Like no, the Shi'ar makes sense, but like the whole thing is, if they're bringing him back as and the rumor is it's not supposed to be like a main villain character kind of thing. It's supposed to be more like they're jumping through universes, and it's like one of those stop for a second and Apocalypse turns around.
Yeah.
Right. Which again, I'm cool with that kind of cameo, right? If they have him in that costume, he looked cool. It just the movie overall sucked, and they like nerfed the living shit out of him. And it's like you're not a world-ending threat in the form that he was in.
No.
But like, yeah, I mean, he looked kind of cool with the way that he was. You give him that makeup, but you give him like the actual Apocalypse costume, right? Actually, give him the costume from Survival of the Fittest, where he's got the armor on, but then he's wearing the robes over it to like conceal himself.
Yeah.
Right. Like that would be dope.
I just want to just go through the Deadpool to be there and like, oh shit, it's Ivan Ooze as they go past him.
Yeah.
Awesome. All right. So I have our notes here. We want to do, the Hawkeye episode because we have to see where the end is at. We got to do the last episode of, Falcon the Winter Soldier to see where, we leave Johnny Mayonnaise, and well, we have to then rewatch. Maybe you'll be out by then. Captain America for Bucky.
Because that's the last time we see Buck. But I mean, it's also not a big deal.
Because people think Bucky's going to die.
No, they won't kill off Bucky. Rumor has it that they're going to give him a short mantle as Captain America. So doing it in reverse, right? Because Bucky was Captain America before Sam was, but
interesting. So do you think we'll have the variants and multiple Captain Americas leading different teams in Secret Wars? With Sam leading a team, Red Guardian leading a team, Isaiah Bradley leading a team.
Oh yeah, and then Bucky as Captain America, right?
Yeah,
that would be cool.
They're the leader of all the Avengers team, so
right. It's definitely going to be the version of Sebastian Stan that was in this latest Captain America with the short hair.
Yeah. Awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome. Cool.
All right. Well, guys, those are our predictions. Again, this is the follow-up, the aftermath for the movie that we watched tonight, this Black Widow. The next thing we're going to be watching is the final episode of Falcon and the Winter Soldier. This is the last time that you saw Johnny Mayo. Yeah, I mean, that's really what matters, is because it's the last time we saw U.S. Agent. Yep. And the last time that we saw Madam Hydra.
I thought Black Panther 2 was the last time.
Oh, that's right. She was
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. We may have to just like watch the scene.
We'll have to, yes.
Yeah. But yes, until next time, did we want to do this next week, or did we want to push it out another week?
Next week is Jep Nerdy.
Oh, that's right. So yes, the next watch party is in 2 weeks, guys. So not this next Friday. This next Friday is Distance Jep Nerdy, and I believe Matthew Aguilar is going to be coming back for that. So
yes.
So we're going to be doing some Distance Jep Nerdy next week on Friday, and then the following Friday we'll be watching that final episode of Falcon and the Winter Soldier. What time is the next watch party? Again, it's going to be not this coming Friday, not a week from today, but 2 weeks from today. Time, it's just whenever, as soon as we're done with the or actually no, that today was our last Friday show. So we'll probably do it like around 6.
Yeah.
All right.
Sounds
good.
All right.
Yeah. So we are good to go here. Again, ladies and gentlemen, we thank you for hanging out with us and watching Black Widow. Until next time, as always, thanks and keep nerding together. We'll see you guys next time.
All right.
All right.
Bye.